The Curse of Wild Bill Hickok. In the dusty haze of Abilene, Kansas, 1871, Wild Bill Hickok walked into the saloon like a man carrying the weight of something far heavier than his ivory-handled Colts. His long golden hair fell in waves over his shoulders, a relic of the frontier's lawless glamour. But if you caught his gaze, piercing and restless, you'd see a shadow there, as if the past clung to him like the smell of gunpowder. They called him a legend, gambler, gunslinger, lawman, but Wild Bill had always lived under a shadow he could never quite shake. It was said that the Hickok family bore a curse, one spun generations ago in the Kentucky hills where his bloodline began. The legend whispered that a Hickok ancestor had cheated a witch out of her land, and with her dying breath, she laid a hex upon their name. The Hickok blood will always draw iron and end in an early grave. For Bill, the curse was no mere folktale. He'd seen it claim his older brother Lorenzo, shot down in a petty dispute over a card game. His father, too, had died by his own plow blade, severed in a freak accident on their farm. By the time Bill strapped on his first revolver, the weight of fate felt heavier than the leather holster on his hip. And so he made his peace with it, or tried to. Bill's life became a game of speed and chance, played at the edge of fate's blade. He killed his first man at 23, an act of self-defense that felt like destiny knocking. By 34, he was both feared and revered, a walking contradiction of charm and death, haunted by the trail of bodies his name left behind. But it was in Deadwood, Dakota territory, where the curse would tighten its noose. The gold rush town was no place for peace, and Bill, now graying at the temples, came not as a lawman, but as a gambler. He was restless, plagued by dreams of pale hands reaching for him and the mournful wail of his brother's voice. Even his famously sharp eyes were failing him. Glaucoma dimmed his vision, and his pistol hand, once steady as a river current, now trembled when he thought no one was watching. At Nuttall and Mann's saloon, Bill sat with his back to the door, a fatal mistake for any gunslinger. But that day, fate wasn't playing fair. Across the room, a man named Jack McCall, drunk on whiskey and wounded pride from a previous card game, hovered like a storm cloud. Some said McCall had been hired by enemies of Hickok. Others claimed it was nothing more than the blind rage of a man scorned. The air in the saloon thickened. Bill had just been dealt a pair of aces and eights, black as midnight. He studied his hand, the so-called dead man's hand, and for a moment his vision blurred. He blinked, and in its place he saw Lorenzo's face, pale and ghostly, staring back at him from the cards. "Bill, get up," a voice whispered in his mind. He froze, the hairs on his neck rising. Before he could react, McCall stepped behind him, cocked his pistol, and fired a single shot into the back of Wild Bill's head. The saloon fell silent as Bill slumped forward, blood soaking the aces and eights in his hand. The crowd watched in stunned disbelief, but some swore they saw something more. A shadowy figure standing over Bill, its face obscured but its posture eerily familiar. As if the curse itself had come to claim its prize. They buried Bill in Deadwood, but his story didn't rest. Some say his ghost roams the saloon, endlessly shuffling a spectral deck, while others claim to hear his spurs jangling in the night. And then there are those who whisper that the Hickok curse didn't die with Wild Bill, that it still lingers, waiting to claim its next victim. As the sun sets over the Black Hills, the wind carries a faint echo of his laughter, tinged with sorrow. It leaves you wondering, was Wild Bill Hickok a man doomed by fate, or was he the one who dared to live as if the curse could never catch him? Perhaps the truth lies somewhere in the shuffle of the dead man's hand. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for more, and leave a comment.